discerning between your needs and your desires. What is desired and what is required. We have to have a very clear understanding of this in order to move forward in a way that's going to help us remain in alignment. In alignment with what? In alignment with what we actually want. When you confuse the difference between what is required and what is desired, you end up with a lot of obstacles. You end up with stagnation. You end up with patterns and cycles that are not reflective of what you truly wish to embody and therefore what you truly wish to experience. So for example, myself, I am required to wake up in the morning early for the sake of my own alignment and for the sake of the way that I feel in my body. I have no capacity for, we'll say, disharmonious sounds and frequencies and lights and all of these energies that you might find yourself being bombarded with when you go out into the world. I've said this before and I will say it many, many times again. That moment when you wake up is a really powerful time because your brain is in a particular frequency that allows you to have direct access to your subconscious mind, direct access to the nervous system, to the neuroplasticity, the malleability of your brain, right? So the energies that you interact with, the way that you focus your energy in the morning is going to set the tone for the day, and it's going to set the tone for your life, realistically. I notice the difference between when I just rush out the door versus when I am allowing myself to move at a natural pace. That means rushing is off the table. Rushing is not a thing for me. I will not rush through this life because I know that if I'm rushing through this life, it feels as though I am not living my life. It feels as though I am just throwing my life away. Why would I adhere to a behavior that makes me feel like I am not living life? Like I am just handing my power over to whatever makes me feel like I need to rush, right? Does that mean that my responsibilities go away? Does that mean that I just don't show up because, oh, I don't feel like rushing, so I'm just gonna hang back and forget it? No. That would be my desire. I don't wanna rush, so therefore, I'm just gonna do whatever I want and I'm not gonna be responsible. That is your desire. Instead, I say, I am required to allot myself enough time so that I do not rush. So the desire is to take my time. The requirement is to not throw my life away by rushing through life, as if there wasn't any value in every single precious moment. Every moment is precious. And because of that, I view it as a principle, as a core value. And this is something that I always circle back to in most of my videos. So it's something to take note of. Especially if you've returned to my videos, you have to be able to identify what it is that you want, what the trajectory of your life is, what are your core values and your principles, your non-negotiables for yourself and your life experience. Some people will live their life and be okay with the bare minimum. They will be okay with waking up every day 5 minutes before they need to leave for work, rushing to brush their teeth, putting their shirt on backwards and running out the door every other day. Why do we do that? Usually because we have absolutely no clarity as to the vision that we have for our day-to-day, for our life experience, which is happening right now. It's never happening later. So again, the requirement is that I do not rush through my life as if it doesn't matter. The desire is to take my time. That means to uphold the standard of what is required is to be responsible and give myself the time that I desire to take. When you start to kind of blend the desires and the requirements in a way to finesse your way around doing what you know you're supposed to do, and you create wiggle room for yourself, you easily become a very irresponsible person, a person with no accountability. A person with no accountability, which it's going to leave you in that cycle. And that's what we're breaking. We're breaking old cycles that do not allow us to align to what we truly wish to embody and therefore what we truly wish to experience. Said it again, note it. So one of the requirements is going to give birth to another requirement. Yes, the desire is that I want to take my time. The requirement is that I will not rush through life. And because of that, I am also required to wake up early so that I can give myself the time that I need. If the desire is to run very fast, let's say you're a baby and you want to run really fast. You know in your heart and your mind that you want to run, even though you can't even verbalize it or articulate it with your words properly, or if at all. The requirement is that you're going to learn how to stand. The requirement is that you're going to learn how to walk. The requirement is going to be that you're going to learn how to jog, how to put your shoes on. And throughout that process, while you're running, there's going to be other requirements. You might want to run in a way that is not conducive to being able to train consistently. You might want to run with a flat foot, but if your desire is to run long distance, then you might have to run on the ball of your foot. You might have to run with the appropriate shoes. You might desire to run in Converse, but guess what? If you don't want giant blisters and boils to form on your pinkies and your toes, then you're gonna have to get the proper footwear. There's no skipping steps. There's no compromising in certain areas. And there's no need to. When you resist what is required for the sake of a desire, you're just delaying the process. And falling into a cycle of delay is falling into a notion that the story that you're creating in your mind is justifiable and representative of your individuality and your right. Sometimes in life, a lot of the times in life, you cannot operate in a way as to empower yourself solely for the sake of your individuality. You have to be able to accept the facts, the reality. And you have to be able to create a degree of separation between your individuality and your desire and what is the actual reality of a situation. And you have to be able to create that degree of separation by understanding that doing what is required is not a threat to your individuality. It doesn't take away from your unique expression. Just because you don't wear Converse when you're running long distance doesn't mean that your rights are being stripped away from you or that you're being held back in some monumental way. So I feel like this is some kind of a cognitive deficiency when you start to move in a way to like mentally move in such a way. Can you be empowered and celebrate yourself and your individuality, or at the very least not feel threatened by the reality of what is required and that being communicated to you by another being? There's going to be plenty of people on your path who are going to point you in a direction. And out of your rebelliousness or your desire to do it in your own way, and your belief in that you're being oppressed or suppressed because there is an actual way to go about things, you end up hurting yourself. You end up falling into traps of delusion. Not the good kind of delusion that people speak of. And you can still do things in your own way. Like, you just have to be able to know the difference. And not doing something for the sake of your desire is not justified. You have to be responsible. So I can bring it back to the example that I gave you initially. If I were to say, oh, I'm required to not rush, therefore, it doesn't matter if I show up today. Or I'm required to not rush and I'm already late, so I'm just going to take my time. I'm just going to take my sweet time and not worry about it. Okay, yes, you can do that. I understand that. But how are you relating to that? Are you accepting of it? Or are you acknowledging the lack of responsibility? Like, if you start to move like that and then you don't acknowledge how wrong that is and how wrong you are in doing those kinds of things, then you start to justify poor behavior. And now you're psychologically attuning yourself and aligning yourself to being okay with mediocrity, to be okay with showing up in a way that is probably very disrespectful to other people and their time and their energy. Right? So we can't be in a state where we're just okay with not doing the right thing because, oh, my belief is that I shouldn't rush through life. Okay, just because that's your belief and just because that's your principle, it doesn't excuse you. If anything, it should make you want to adjust yourself and create a system for yourself. where these things do not happen again. It is your responsibility to adjust accordingly to what you're saying, what you're doing. You have the data. All right, I'm falling into a pattern. I'm not giving myself enough time. I'm showing up 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. What are you going to do about it? You want to be right. You want to feel okay about it. So the way to be right and feel okay is not to continue the behavior and take your time even though it's compromising you in another way. You want to be well-rounded in all areas. What people say, how you do anything is how you do everything. A great mental shift is gratitude. You have to extract the juice of life, the nectar of life. Love it. Okay, yeah, maybe you don't want to get up. Maybe you don't want to, it doesn't feel good in the moment. But once you start moving your body and you start engaging in a thing that feels right to you and it's what you love, then you can just, feel and be present. And then the pain of waking up goes away. The pain of me getting up in the morning when I don't really feel like it, it dissolves so many more issues in my life. It dissolves the issue of feeling like I have to rush. It dissolves the issue of being an unreliable person to other people. It dissolves the issue of me not enjoying that time. That time is so good because it's an hour where people are sleeping and I get to be in a cave of solitude, quietude, peace, energy, and vibration. It feels really good. And I don't have to worry about showing up somewhere for a good amount of time. And if you're headed somewhere where you actually want to be and you're allotting yourself that time, that's the most amazing feeling. And that's what I experience. I'm never headed somewhere where I don't want to be. That's the best feeling in the world. But to get to that point, to get to a point where you're not moving in a direction that you don't even want to go in, you are required to uphold a certain standard for yourself. You have to uphold a certain level of responsibility, or else you're never going to be granted that reality. Not in the way that you truly desire. So I trust that you will take that wisdom and you will start to really get clear on what you want and what you need to do to get there. And that you will leave absolutely no room for an excuse, for a justification, or for a deflection, and for avoiding the reality of your current position. You will adjust accordingly to the reality of what your tendency is, and you will adjust in a way that's going to help you succeed, and it's going to help you live a life that feels rich. You want to be rich, you want to be wealthy, you want to have more money, you want to have more time. Enrich your life. Do not rush through it. Do not treat it like it's a dirty rag.